Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hello, friends. Thanks for being here. Thank you for your practice. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Helps promote the Sangha. It's a Bodhisattva act in a few seconds. Today's term is Dharma. One thing I'll make a note of right off the bat is, this Buddhism reference, as I've said before, is not meant to be encyclopedic. In other words, in an encyclopedia, you'll read extensively about not only the etymology of a word, like a dictionary, but the hysteresis and the comparative meanings and blah, 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 blah. There's a little of that in here, and that's because there needs to be. Buddhism and Buddhist terms, and specifically what this book is made for, is our modern practice of Lotus Sutra Buddhism as Nichiren has instructed us. But many of these terms, if not most, predate Buddhism. They come from Brahmin traditions and a lot of Hinduism, different in the various branches of Hinduism. Oh my gosh, it's so vast. The folklores and myths and magical, mystical, all the way back to Vedic writings and thoughts on the nature of life, phenomena, the universe, so on and so forth. So, as a result, a lot of these terms, still to this day, it's amazing, some of these traditions, and certainly nothing that exists today, whether it calls itself Hinduism or Brahmanism or Jainism or whatever, is authentically as it was. Number one, because people aren't as they were. The capacity of people, the language they use, the way they talk about the same quote-unquote things, it's just not the same. But tradition, quote-unquote, holds that certain ideas, although they may morph over time, have their roots in something. And one of the great revolutionary things about Shakyamuni Buddha is that when Siddhartha Gautama attained his enlightenment, awakened his Buddha mind, how is he to communicate this amazing clarity without just inventing a new language? And everyone would look at you like, what does hippopork mean, So he had to use the language of the day that people were familiar with. But as I stated, the reason he was revolutionary is because he changed the meaning of a lot of these words. And in fact, during his 40-plus years of the provisional teachings, he morphed those words even more over time to try to open people's minds, their capacity to experience this new awakening, this Buddhism, right? And it wasn't until the culminating teachings of the Lotus Sutra that he said, okay, this is the way. Anyone can do it. This is how I did it. That's what's unique about the Lotus Sutra. But if you try to tell or teach people who are stuck in their old traditional ways and thinking, they just don't listen, or they won't listen. They like their old, comfortable, little magical worlds, right? So the result is that you and I, modern Buddhists, might hear and read about some of the words that we use meaning different things. And so I want to disabuse you of that misinformation. And the people who give you that information, it's on the internet. And as I point out in this book, there are authoritative sources that get it wrong. It's not so much that they get it wrong, but their impression of the meaning of words are antiquated. They're not updated. They don't reflect either the nuances or the direct experience that Shakyamuni was teaching in the last 8 years of his life. It's unfortunate, But it's very confusing, especially to beginners, right? Who have a certain impression, and then along comes somebody who understands more correctly, more clearly, and it's tough because now I bought into this, and now you're telling me it's different. So, all of that is to say that, for instance, the word Dharma. I don't think there's a lot of, I'm going to clarify it, but there's not a lot of, there is some misunderstanding about it, but suffice it to say, I don't have to go down a rabbit hole for you to understand it. Other terms, though, like karma, there are some deep misunderstandings about what that is. And so you'll find in this book that it does kind of get into the weeds a little bit, but only far enough, I think, this is what I'm trying to do, to make you aware that, first of all, I'm not just telling you that's what this means. I'm offering you my over 40 years of research and the research of other scholars and the words of Nichiren, right? What this word means to us, this Sangha, and like Nichiren, to validate why I say this, I am going to also provide a little bit of background or side notes so that you can see for yourself how things got pushed around or may have been misinterpreted and how they measure up against this clear, concise definition, right? I'm not going to do an encyclopedia, but it's maybe necessary to bounce around a little bit so that you can go, oh, that's why I've heard that before. Yes, I have heard that. Now I see why it's wrong, right? Because you need to know this for yourself. This resource, the website, the books, it's all about your confidence, your resolve, your insights. Yeah? This is why I say you teach yourself. All of us teach ourselves. So, I take the position because linguistically, socially, I'm acting as a teacher. But really, I'm just passing along information that I've experienced, that I've, dedicated my life to. And I'm using Nichiren as I'm doing what he told me to do. Emulate him, right? And that's what we're all doing. So, anyway, just wanted to get that out there. So the word Dharma, I have three ways of hearing this and understanding it. The first one is the teaching of Shakyamuni. Some people will just say, what's Shakyamuni's teachings? Oh, he taught the Dharma, right? The second one is the experience of enlightenment. That's a little shadier. That's a little more cloudy, difficult to understand. Don't worry, we'll get to it. Number 3, expedient means to arrive at one's self-realization. Does that mean that all the sutras are Dharma? What is Dharma? Okay. Dharma ultimately means, and I'm reading from the book here, no thing. What? Oops. I've never heard that before. What do you mean, no thing or nothing? What are you talking about? Dharma means nothing. It's not that it doesn't have meaning. It's that it doesn't point to a physical thing that, we really enjoy doing in our lives, is relating everything to things. Yes? Everything. What it means is that the word Dharma is an instructional placeholder, quote unquote. It's a term used to label an activity of following a path toward a destination that, once realized, has no use or need for the path or its instruction. This is where Dharma gets confused with, quote, teaching, right? Dharma isn't really the teaching, though the teaching is necessary to understand the Dharma. You see how they work together? The Dharma is the actual achievement, the experience of the being in Buddha-ness. And once you're in Buddha-ness, the Dharma ceases to exist because You're there. You don't need to seek out the Dharma. You're in it. This is why one reads in the sutras that once the Dharma is revealed, there's no Dharma, right? Exists, doesn't exist. You know that duality that's always in the sutras, all of them. That once you attain Buddhahood, there is no Buddha. There is just the experience of Buddha, the experience of Dharma, the experience of the teaching, the experience of enlightenment. Right? Once you drive down enough highways and back roads and you get to the lake that you were looking for, the map is no longer of any use to you, is it? So the map isn't the Dharma. The Dharma is experiencing the lake. But you may need the map in order to get to the Dharma. This is why it's confused with the teachings. It's not the words of Shakyamuni. The teachings of Shakyamuni lead you to the Dharma. It's slippery, and for some people, they just won't let go because Dharma can be a thing they can hang on to. But that's an obstacle. That's samsara. Do you see? It is said that the Dharma exists and does not exist. It is provisional for the samsaric mind. Although often used as a substitute for the word teaching, Dharma is actually what the teaching is about rather than the teachings themselves. Right? I think you get that. I don't think we need to get any more obtuse or look at the history of the word or any of that. I think that's enough. If you don't think so, let me know in the comments. Maybe you have something to add. Maybe you're saying, I don't understand the difference. Maybe I need to do a better job of that. Let me know. I really think it's really all that's necessary to understand. And understand that a lot of these things that I'm writing in this book stand as away from or separate from what you're going to find on Google. Because Google, as I've already pointed out in previous words, is full of old traditional thinking. It's like laziness. People go, oh, here's a florid, wonderful little definition. Let's put that up. Everybody will get that. That's what all my Zen friends say, right? They don't think of the scholarship of Buddhism. They don't think about the ultimate practice, certainly for Mappo, the latter day of Buddhism. They don't think about all of those issues. They're not Buddhist. They're dictionary makers. They're, right? Website managers, they're whatever. And so they just call what seems to be the most popular. And what do we know about populism? Not always the best. It's usually what is settled for. And unfortunately, more and more, what's settled for is the one that uses or requires of us the least effort. So I understand that a lot of the definitions I'm going to put in this book are going to be challenging. But they're only challenging because they're not popular. That's my little alarm. Take your pills, Sylvain. For my health, not for my mind, although who knows. My medication for my mind is Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. That's the only medication, same thing, I take. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening. I was a little bit rambling today, but I hope I got the point across. And again, I have to thank you for listening, for practicing this Buddhism correctly. It's amazing how many obstacles there are. And yet, it's really pretty straightforward, isn't it? Take care of your health. Be convinced that you're doing it correctly. Right? Use this resource. Those of you buying ebooks or print books or mandala or donations through PayPal and Patreon. You guys are amazing. We all appreciate your support. So please do keep your practice strong. That's the most important thing. And your health in order to support that. strength, that resolve, yeah? I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.